Welcome back to the program. I'm Zev Brenner, and welcome to the Bnai Zion Corner. Last year we had special guest Ruth Goodman on the broadcast. Ruth is the co-director of the Israeli Folk Dance Festival, director of the Israeli Dance Institute. Both organizations have been supported for many years by the Bnai Zion Foundation. It's because of Bnai Zion's support that thousands of people enjoy a very meaningful and joyful folk dance experience throughout the year, and especially the annual Israeli Folk Dance Festival, next of which is being planned around the weekend of Yom Ha'atzmaut in 2019. Before you know it, it'll be 2019. We promise to keep you up to date with more details about the events as they develop. With us this evening is an extra special guest. Mr. George Schaeffer is Bnai Zion's chairman of the board, has been part of the organization for many, many years. His story is a unique one, an inspiring example of living the American dream, filled with adventure, philanthropy, and entrepreneurial spirit. As a son of Holocaust survivors, he rose to become a business innovator, industry leader, and a foremost philanthropist, particularly for humanitarian causes. He's the founder, president, and CEO of the People's Trust Insurance Company, and started the business that ultimately would become a dominant global consumer brand, opioid nail lacquer products. But he didn't stop there. George and his wife founded the George and Arena Schaeffer Foundation, have been given millions upon millions of dollars to charities around the world, including the American Heart Association, the Leukemia Research Foundation, the Shoah Foundation, the City of Hope's Cancer Foundation, and diabetes research at the COH. As the chairman of the board and former president of Bnai Zion, George has supported critical health and education projects in Israel with significant strategic funding, more of which we'll be discussing during our special Bnai Zion Corner this evening. George, welcome to our broadcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on the show, Zev.
Thank you, and I can go on and on about all the wonderful things you've done for so many charities around the world, especially for the people of the state of Israel. However, I happen to know that you have personally been involved with Bnai Zion longer than any other living person. How did you originally get involved with Bnai Zion?
Well, I joined the Bnai Zion when I was 18 years old, and today, 53 short years later, I'm still a member. I think I'm not the oldest person in Bnai Zion, but certainly the longest in Bnai Zion. So it's been really a great venture and a lot of changes, but very positive ones.
Now, I heard through the grapevine that you joined Bnai Zion when you were 18 years old, and you were looking for a wife at the time?
Well, certainly I was looking for girls. I wanted to stay with the Jewish movement, and at that time there was leadership in Bnai Zion that thought that they should attract young people, and I got involved through that. We made parties every couple of weeks, and in fact my wife did come to one of those parties, although I didn't meet her there. I wound up meeting her on a blind date, and the rest is history, and I'm still here.
Thank God. And so you didn't meet her directly at the Bnai Zion, but because of your activities, you indirectly met her? Is that how it worked?
It was an interesting story. I didn't realize, I didn't really meet her there at one of the parties, but when I called her for a blind date, she says, "Oh, I know you." I said, "How do you know me?" She says, "I went to one of the parties at Bnai Zion." So that's how it started. And,
amazing.
Married 32 years.
Mazel tov. So you joined Bnai Zion, you're 18 years old. That's truly extraordinary because that goes back quite a while. You may have mentioned it, but how many years have you been a member, and why, after so many years, do you continue to support the organization? It seems to be getting even more involved as time goes on.
Well, I'm a member for 53 years now, and I hope to be a member for quite a few more. The projects, Bnai Zion represented something to me that was different than other organizations. When I joined, the organization was supported by life insurance and health insurance, Blue Cross in New York, and we were selling that, and it was basically an immigrant kind of an organization. A lot of Hungarians, a lot of Eastern Europeans. In fact, I'm Hungarian by birth. Came here in 1956 at the revolution, and that's how I started with it. Besides the meeting young people and the parties that they had, and in fact many of those people are still members. And I like the concept that at that time, every penny that was contributed to Bnai Zion and the profits of the insurance company all went to projects in Israel, and I like that. Also, as a capital-oriented organization, we got involved in building things that had a finite beginning and a finite end. That was very attractive to me. Also, Bnai Zion, at that time and still is today, a non-political organization. In other words, we don't support any of the individual parties. I feel as a Jew in the diaspora, we have really no right to decide on the fate of Israelis that are living there. So we don't get involved in the politics of it. We just get involved in the charities. And that, to me, was a very important thing. So there were many things that I liked about it.
So over the last 2 months on our broadcast, we've learned much about Bnai Zion. I think our listeners are truly understanding just how worthy a cause this organization is. George, as the person who's been part of Bnai Zion, I didn't say the oldest, I'm careful, the longest. Please tell our listeners, give a little more. I know you've done a little bit now. Elaborate a little bit more about the history of the organization, regard to how it was originally structured, and today how it's evolved as a leading nonprofit.
Well, the organization was founded in 1908, the Zionist organization, which was even before, right after Herzl started talking about the state of Israel. And we started as a fraternal organization, and in fact, there were quite a few groups around the country, friends basically, and they got together just on a social basis, also raising some money. But most of the people were in it for the insurance, which was available to individuals. They didn't have to be in a group, and it was easy to buy life insurance from Bnai Zion. And one of the funny things was whoever bought life insurance with Bnai Zion had a very long life. So I think people bought it for that reason also. It was just coincidental, but it was actually very...
Does that still work today?
I think so. I think we have a member that's over 100 years old, so it's still working. And although we stopped selling life insurance in the late 80s and early 90s, and that's been one of the challenges, that we were not really a fundraising organization. All the profits came out of the fraternal meetings, and of course the life insurance and the income we got from Blue Cross of New York. So this is how it started. In the late 80s, early 90s, the life insurance stopped for a variety of reasons. The laws changed, and Blue Cross stopped selling across the country. The laws changed. So we became a fundraising organization, which I think in many ways we were not prepared for. And we didn't do much advertising. People came to us for a need. And it's been a little difficult, but I always say we're the oldest and best Zionist organization that's unknown throughout the United States. But I think we're changing that. It's a slow process, and we're really making it into a fundraising organization. And in fact, we give millions of dollars to Israel every year for capital projects.
Now, what you told us is quite a history in the course of all those years. Can you tell our listeners about any specific project? You mentioned you're giving a lot of money to Israel. Give us an idea about a specific project that Bnai Zion started, which are now woven into the fabric of Israeli society.
Well, I'll give you just one example, American Red Mogen David, which is the ambulance corps in Israel. Nobody realizes that Bnai Zion started that with buying ambulances, and we started the whole organization in the mid-40s, 1940s. So that's a lot of the things we do. We make the capital investment, let it run a little bit, we support it, and then we let it go on their own. And of course, one of the most successful things has been American Red Mogen David. Kvar Bnai Zion, which is Kvar Bnai Zion, which is probably the Beverly Hills of Tel Aviv, one of the most sought-after places to live. We bought the land for that 60, 70 years ago, before the establishment of the state of Israel, and it's a very, very successful small city, and it's named Bnai Zion. And in fact, one of the interesting things about it, they're so well-funded and well-established, they returned every penny that Bnai Zion paid for the land throughout the years.
Wow.
Which was really unheard of. And we started the America-Israel Friendship League, which is dedicated to strengthening the ties between Americans and Israelis. Of course, we sent people, not Jews, but from every religion to Israel. I think once somebody goes to Israel and sees some of our projects and the state of Israel itself, there's nothing better. They're completely convinced of why we support Israel and why Israel is so important for America. So these are just a couple of them, and of course we're involved in the old Rothschild Hospital, which the Rothschild family started early 1900, but they stopped funding it in the late 80s or mid 80s, and Bnai Zion took that over. Now it's called the Bnai Zion Medical Center, in Haifa. One of the interesting facts, it serves the entire community. It's the largest community hospital in Haifa, and there's over 5,000 children that are born each year in the hospital, and they have a very incredible neonatal clinic. Children under a pound have been saved. It's just one of the most incredible, wondrous places that I've ever seen. And so these are the kind of projects we support.
Like you said, George, are just a few of over the 100 successful projects founded and funded by the Bnai Zion Foundation. It's absolutely amazing just how embedded the organization is in everyday Israeli life. George, as we close out, is there anything you'd like to share with our audience before our program begins? Ends, I should say, this evening.
Oh, thank you, Zev. I just, I feel that people should get to know Bnai Zion. If I might, I want to put a little plug in there.
Sure.
Look at our website, www.bnaizion, BNAIZION, BnaiZion.org, or call Rebecca Harari at 646-485-7999, 646-485-7999. She's one of the people that's worked at Bnai Zion, but would really give you a good understanding of what it's about.
And doing a great job at it, too.
And we have a mission to build a more healthy, inclusive, and vibrant Israel. And anybody that goes there today, I was just there a few months ago, I don't think there's a city like Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, the excitement, the building. You don't realize you're in the middle of the Muslim world. And it's a wonder what we have done in just 70 years. And people don't realize that we're only there 70 years, plus another 5,000, of course, but not as successful as now. So I welcome people to Bnai Zion. I encourage them to look into it and also to join. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks a lot, Jeff.
George, I want to thank you. George Schaeffer, Chairman of the Board of Bnai Zion Foundation. Next week we'll have board member Jan Kitterman on the program, and then he will tell us about a very special event happening with Bnai Zion at Carnegie Hall. Got to wait till next week to get that information. George, thank you so much. Look forward to having you back and continued success.
Thank you and good night.
And we're going to be right back. Don't go away. Stay tuned. You've been listening to the